Okay, I have my tea. Bertha is here. Let's do it! Alright, so it's been almost a year since I purchased old Bertha here. Now if you want a bit of backstory into why I ended up with this bike and why I got rid of the Triumph Explorer after 10 years of ownership, I've got more details about that situation in a previous video, which I'll leave a link for down below. So all the details will be in there. This video is just going to be things that I didn't know about when I bought this bike, which I didn't take into consideration when I bought it, and things that I've done to the bike and things that I'm going to plan to do to the bike in the coming future. So without further ado, let's just get started. Okay, so one of the things I've learnt about this bike since owning it is, like, one of my bugbears initially was the tyre pressure readout was in bar. I do not understand bar, and on the forums they're just saying, well, to convert bar to PSI you just multiply this and divide that. I'm like, I don't want to do maths when I'm riding the bike. I just want to ride it, look down, see what it is, and then carry on. So your dealership should be able to change, or they did change on this, the readout from bar to PSI. I understand PSI, it says PSI on the tyre. It's, you know, it's simple. So that's one of the things that I managed to get fixed. Another, and they didn't charge me for that, but the bike was in for a service when they did it, so they may have just did it for free, just to, you know, as a little sweetener. But I'll check. If you don't like bar, they will be able to change it for you, just so you know. Okay. The other three slight annoyances were, I found the seat to be a little bit too hard. That is not the case now. I'm well used to it. Either the seat has softened up or my butt has got harder. I'm not too sure, but either way, it's absolutely fine now. It doesn't bother me in the slightest. It's very, very comfortable. The flappy screen, again, you get used to these things, and I don't even notice it anymore. It's made even worse by adding this sort of adapter thing on the top of it, the extension, and it's made it more flappy, but I don't notice it anymore, and it doesn't bother me in the slightest. So another little bugbear which still bothers me to this day is the fact that they fitted this bike with upright tyre valves, which ordinarily isn't such a bad thing, but because the spokes are in the way, it's a bit of a pain in the butt to top up the air pressure in the tyres. So the way around this is I've got myself a little sort of angled tyre valve adapter which you put on, but it's a pain in the backside. I just want to attach the air compressor to the valve and go. I don't want to be adding extra things on it, so I keep that on the bike at all times. The indicator switch is also a little bit of a bugbear. I just wish they would make it a little bit more noticeable when you're switching, when you're turning your indicators on and off, especially when you've got winter gloves on. You really kind of have to make a conscious effort of going, you know, pushing it, because it's ever so slight. So I'm riding this bike in and out of London every single day. I've done, I believe, 10,000 miles on this bike since I've owned it in 1 year, which isn't a massive amount, I know, but it's every single day I'm riding it in and out of London, all weathers, regardless, it doesn't matter. One of the things I've noticed is the rear end seems to pick up a lot of dirt. The bike seems to get dirty quick, and it's not because of the colour, it's not because of the white, it's nothing to do with that. It's the fact that there doesn't seem to be a lot of protection from the elements at the rear. There is a hugger at the rear, like is fitted as standard, but I may have to get another one which just goes over the top of the tyre, you know, like Pyramid and Puig do all those sort of things. And maybe an extender for the front mudguard as well, because the front of the engine takes a lot of crud. So I might get that sorted as well. And also you can get those shock sleeves which go around the shocks to protect them from the crud, which I had on the Explorer, and the rear shock on that was pretty much pristine up until the point that I sold it. So I may invest in a couple of shock socks, I believe they're called. Alright, so those are my what you would call negative points. Not really negatives, they're just slight bugbears. The things that I've discovered about this bike, which I didn't take into consideration when I first bought it, was the ease in which you can service this bike yourself, and by that I mean the ease in which you can gain access to the spark plugs, to gain access to the air filter. The air filter, for example, is let's see, three screws on the top, 2 screws on the bottom. The panel comes off. There's your air filter. It's as simple as that, and I love that. The spark plugs are obviously on the side of the cylinder heads there. Take the crash bars off, take the spark plug cover off, you're in. And it's all very, very accessible, and it's very, very easy to work on. And if you think about it, you're going to save a bit of money if you do these things yourself. Like, for example, the air filter you could do yourself, the spark plugs you could do yourself. Things like valve clearances, I would leave that to the dealership personally, because I wouldn't know what I'm doing and I don't want to touch stuff like that. So yeah, it's very, very easy to work on. And as a result of that, your servicing costs, I was quite surprised. Arden charged me, well, they quoted me £550 for a 24,000 mile service, which is the big one, which includes all filters, all fluids, and the valve clearance. 550 quid. And that's what they charged me as well, on top of all the other bits and bobs, which I wanted done at the same time. So I was really, really pleased with that. And I didn't even take that into consideration when I bought the bike. I didn't worry about servicing costs, or I didn't think about it at all. And really, especially these days, it's something you should really take into consideration. And if you're happy to work on your bike yourself, this is a dream bike for that sort of thing. So essentially, this bike for me is a commuting bike. It's not the first bike you would think of getting to use as a commuting bike. But that said, despite its immense size and weight, it is a heavy bike, it is a big bike, there's no getting around that. It handles beautifully, and I think that's got a lot to do with the low slung engine. It can switch in and out of traffic very, very easily. It's no problem at all. I mean, you feel it when you're when you're crawling along at 2 miles an hour and you have to do a tight turn sort of around the bus and all that sort of stuff. The moped guys are just going for it. I'm a little bit slower, but that's an element of that is to do with the way I ride. I'm not a particularly fast rider. I never have been. So for me, as a commuting bike, it's absolutely perfect. It has amazing, and I mean this, amazing weather protection. I could be riding along the A2, which is one of the major A roads from here into London. It could be raining, and by the time I get there, my trousers, at least my knees and my top part here, will be relatively dry. And also my chest area, the jacket as well. It has excellent weather protection. And it's all sort of to do with this kind of, you're kind of hiding behind this massive wide tank and the nice tall screen as well. So really good weather protection, an excellent mile munching bike. I mean, it's, you know, everybody knows that, that goes without saying. The ergonomics are perfect for me, being 6'3" with a 34-inch inside leg, no problems at all. Very, very, very comfortable indeed. So let's quickly talk about the things I've added to this bike as it is, and things I will get for the bike in the near future. So things I've added are radiator guards, grip puppies, a screen extender, a USB plug, tank pads. What else have I added? Oh, a rear rack extender, and I think that is it. Oh, a headlight guard as well. I was told headlights for this bike will cost £1,000 if you break one with a a stone chip hitting it. And I've also got a quad lock mount for the phone for when I'm looking at maps. So things I would like to get. I would like to get a rally seat for this bike with the low profile rack at the back, because it's just the look that I love. I love the GS rally bike rear end, but I want the front end of an adventure with a massive tank. I just love that kind of the way it tapers off at the back. So that's what I'd like to do in the near future, get a rally seat and a low profile rack. So I've just got this huge flat space at the back to chuck on my 120 litre snug pack bag and just go do a couple of nights camping and not have to worry about what to carry, because you can just fit everything on this bike. And that's another thing. I've also got a SW Motec tank bag as well, which I've yet to use. I fitted everything, but I've yet to use it. That's gonna happen soon. So there you go. Those are my thoughts and opinions on 1 year of ownership of the GS. Will I own it as long as I had the Triumph for 10 years? I don't see why not. This bike exceeds what I'm capable of giving it. It is a better bike than I am a rider, that is for sure. It does everything I need it to do, and it does it with absolutely zero fuss. There's no dramas with this bike. You can load up the rear, the passenger seat with all that luggage, takes it in this stride. Side winds, takes it in this stride. High speed motorway travelling, not a problem. It feels incredibly planted and stable. This is an absolute mile munching monster. It really is. You could just blast continents on this all day and get there relatively unscathed and pretty relaxed. It's such a fantastic bike, it really is. So there you go, guys. Those are my thoughts and opinions after 1 year of ownership. Overall, I love it. I can barely fault it. I mean, honestly, I can barely fault it. It is a superb machine and way more capable than I am, like I said. So it's as an everyday tool, an everyday commuting bike, for me, for what I need it to do, I can't fault it. It's absolutely magnificent. So if you're planning on getting one of these, this is a 2016 model. Just book a test ride, go for it. I think you're going to love it, and I chose this over a second generation Triumph Explorer, a KTM Super Adventure, a Triumph Tiger 800, and I can't remember, but all the information about what I tested before choosing this bike, and why I chose this bike, and why I got rid of the Explorer for this bike, like I said, I'll leave in a link down below. That is it, guys. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you soon. Take care.